So I'm just going to go through basically about how the paragraph structure works in the conceptual essay planner, and how that's going to help you to actually structure your argument and organize your ideas. Before we do, it's just a good idea to refresh on how a paragraph fits into the essay as a whole. So remember that your goal is to prove that your thesis is an answer to the focus which is provided by the question. So you support that with conceptual evidence, which is then broken down into a series of steps. And the conceptual evidence you support with your textual evidence. Alright, so in particular, we're looking at how body paragraphs help to build a strong argument. So we're going to start by looking at a fairly simple example, but one that works nonetheless. Unrecognized evil has the power to corrupt even the most experienced members of society. The Brothers Grimm demonstrate this with the universal symbol of evil, the big bad wolf himself, who represents the threat of savage elements that lurk on the outskirts of society, reminding us of the dangers an individual faces when outside the protection of civilization. After being thwarted by Red in the forest, the wolf decides to gobble the grandmother first. In doing so, the grandmother is metaphorically devoured by evil, making it easier for the wolf to lie in wait and deceive Little Red Riding Hood. Nevertheless, Red's earlier experience in the woods alerts her to the presence of evil, even when he is disguised. Consequently, the Brothers Grimm effectively warn their readers of evil's deceptive nature, thereby helping them to avoid its corrupting power. In doing so, they successfully warn children against the real danger of corruption. So there's a lot of information here, but if you look closely, you'll start to notice some patterns, mainly the types of words repeated and where they appear in the paragraph. That's what the color coding represents. But let's look a little closer. So when you're given an essay, there's usually a key word or phrase that's essential to the question, and a strong response will make the most of that. If you're having trouble identifying one, it often helps to think of the word that, if you took it away from the sentence, would mean that the sentence doesn't make sense anymore. In this case, the question, how do the Brothers Grimm represent evil in Little Red Riding Hood? If you read the question without the word evil, it doesn't make sense. This doesn't always work, of course, but it's often a good starting point. So we can see that the keyword we identified, evil, and some other related words like lurk are spread throughout the entire paragraph. And the same goes for a thesis, which should focus on one main idea. In this case, the keyword is danger, which shows up here in red. And you can see that it and related words are spread all through the paragraph. Now, if you only talk about the question keyword and thesis keyword, your response will be pretty limited. So you need a slightly different focus for each paragraph, something that will help connect the question to your thesis. We can call this a paragraph concept. So you can see the one here is corruption. And again, you can see it's spread through the whole paragraph. And when we put the three colours together, you might start to notice a pattern. There tends to be more blue towards the beginning, more red towards the end, and then more green all the way through. And if we group all of those related words together, you see something like this. All the ones in the top are related to the concept of evil. The ones in the green are related to the concept of corruption, and the ones in red are related to danger. If you think about the meaning of these words, you might also notice that there is a link between the idea of evil and corruption, and also one between corruption and danger. We can then draw a line to show that link, and we'll see that the concept is what the question and thesis have in common. So the concept creates the connection between the question and your thesis. And that helps us see the basic structure. Start with the question, move through the concept, and arrive at the thesis. Now we look back at the original paragraph, you can see the same basic structure for the argument. It starts with the question, moves through the concept, and arrives at the thesis. If we apply that same idea to how we plan a paragraph, we get something like this. It starts with the question, links to the paragraph concept, which links to the thesis concept. The next step will be to support these ideas with evidence from the text, which is what you see in the middle, where you have techniques, examples, analysis, and evaluation. We'll go through that in another video. I hope this has clarified how you can use paragraph structure to help build an argument.